Hey, welcome. This is Nick and Noah from Beer&Batreps, and we are at a
Oh yeah.
tournament. It's tournament time. So I know I've been talking about the old Space Wolves, but I didn't bring them. I had to go the strongest list possible. He's got his inner circle
Oh yeah.
Terminators.
Tweaked a little bit, so a little more shooting, but not much. But all the right stuff. I think I'll do pretty well.
Oh
I'll have
yeah.
fun either way. The tournaments around here
Oh
are
yeah.
great. So.
All the guys are great fun and real chill. I brought a monster match list with the Smash Brothers, a Keeper of Secret, Great Unclean One, all of it. So it's more like bringing action figures to a tournament, but it's fun. We're going to be taking lots of pictures and then doing kind of a recap over the pictures later on. So wish us luck, guys. We'll probably tune in with some beers at halftime and see how we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Hey, thanks for joining us. Cheers. Later. Hey, so first I just want to show off some of these armies. This first one is beautiful. It's a Custodies Army. It's one of our buddies, Nathan. He's a local painting master. These pictures don't even do it justice. I'll have a couple other even closer shots of some of these Terminators. The greens are just so smooth. The bases are awesome. So anyway, guys, this is 2,000 points, this list right here. It's very, very strong. On the right bottom corner, you have 3 units of 3 of the Shield Guardians. You got a Captain on Bike, or a Dawn Eagle Captain on Bike. On the bottom left is 5 Alaris Terminators, and in the middle is Trojan Valaris. Up top, you have the Forge World Jetpack guys. I forget what they're called, but they put out tons of shots, and they're decent in combat too. And then 2 of the Telemon Dreadnoughts, which I'll talk about later because I ended up having to face this army in the tournament. While you're taking another close-up of this army, I'll just let you know what my list was. It was the Smash Brothers, so Morty and Magnus, and then a battalion of demons that had a Exalted Great Unclean One who took the 4-up Shrug, or 4-up Feel No Pain. And then I also had a Keeper of Secrets, and with its Exalted ability, I took the -1 to Wound ability, and I gave it the Shining Aegis for the 6-up Feel No Pain. And then the troops were a unit of pinks and 2 units of brimstones. And then I took a Zinch Soul Grinder just to camp on an objective because I like that 4-up invul with 14 wounds and T7. And then I also took a unit of 8 Flamers. So a little bit of board control, a lot of hard-hitting units. You got the Soul Grinder and the Great Unclean One to camp on objectives. You got the little troop choices to get engaged on all fronts and grab secondaries. And then you have a Keeper, a Great Unclean One, and the Smash Brothers to hit people with. It wasn't bad. We'll go over more each round and how it did. And we'll also go over Noah's list as well. Alright, this next army is also painted by Nathan. His son actually brought it to this one. It is Adeptus Mechanicus with a beautiful yellow scheme. Anyone who's ever painted yellow knows just how difficult this is to get it this smooth and just perfect. I mean, it is perfect. I'm going to have quite a bit of pictures of this army because it is jaw-dropping. In terms of the list, it's not bad. It's got destroyers with plasma. It's got all the no line of sight needed Scorpius disintegrators. He might have taken the Furamite cannons. I don't think he did, though. I think he took the no line of sight needed. He's got Scutari to grab objectives. And just out of shot that you'll see in the next picture, he has 10 of the combat chickens. He brings 10 of them, 2 units of 5. So it hits hard, it's fast, it's got pretty good firepower. Also, Belisarius Call is in there as well, so it's Mars. It's a pretty good army. I've seen him do work with this army back in 8th. I was interested to see how it is in 9th, so I was very happy to see it. There it is, so you can see the chickens there. I was very happy to see it because it is so pretty. So Noah's list, while you're looking at this, was a full vanguard of Deathwing Knights. You've seen basically this list on our channel in battle reports before. It's just all Terminators. It's like 44 Terminators. I believe it was a full pack of 10 Knights, pack of 10 Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators. It also had the Chaplain and Terminator armor. It had an Apothecary and Terminator armor. And then it had, I believe, a unit of 5 Terminators with Chain Fists and Stormbolters. And then another unit of 5. It might have all been one unit of 10 so that you could split them with so that he could fit 2 of the Cyclone missile launchers in there. So that was pretty nice. And then I think he had another squad of 5 with Thunderhammer Storm Shields. Basically, because they're Deathwing, you can have rule of 3 with Deathwing Terminators, and you can bring regular Assault Terminators, so it's pretty nasty. We will move on to this Necron list. These models were beautiful. That blue and green scheme just pops on the table. It just looks so nice. It's so clean. You don't need messy ink washes all over it. It just looked great. And this is actually the army I faced first in the first round. It was massive. It just seems massive compared to my army of, like I said, action figures. So you end up with just tons of board control. He took the ability to move 6 inches up the board before the game starts, so he's already jumping out on objectives. Those Scarabs then move 10 inches, so if he goes first, he gets to really put a huge speed bump all across the middle of the table, grabbing all those midfield objectives as quick as he can. So it's a really good army for like domination, because you score that at the end of your turn. But we'll get more into that when we go over rounds. I'm still showing off people's armies. In terms of his list composition, it looks like it's 5 Wraiths, 5 of the Scorpek Destroyers. He had 2 units of 5 Immortals. He had 2 of the, oh man, I can't remember. They're the War of the Worlds tall jellyfish looking things with the giant cannons on their back. They're awesome. And they can like overwatch together like Tau. It's really cool. He had 4 different characters hidden in there. So you got the Chronomancer, you got the Lord, you have a couple other little ones hidden in there. I can't remember all of them. He then had a full 20 pack of Warriors with all the buffs. So that thing was a headache. We'll get into that when we go over that round 1. He then had a full 10 of the sword and board shield Lich Guard. And then, 2 units of 4 of the Scarabs. So a nice strong list, well balanced. No, clear centerpiece model to kind of take attention, but he just covers all fronts, and it's really good at 9th edition board control. This next one is from a local guy, Eric. It is Blood Angels, and it was really pretty. I love seeing armies that aren't the classic colors. So like the yellow AdMech or the white Custodes, we now have these purple Blood Angels. So you can see there, it's a pretty massive squad of the Sanguinary Guard. Really cool purple and white. Looks great with the blue wings. Next to them, you have the Primaris Apothecary. You have the Blood Angels Jump Pack Chaplain to their left. Looks like behind them, they have a Sanguinary Priest. And behind them, it looks like a Sanguinary Ancient, I guess. To be honest, I don't play against a lot of Blood Angels. I don't know a lot about Blood Angels. Behind them, he had a full 6-pack of the Plasma Inceptors and a full 6-pack of the Aggressors. The rest of his list, I'm not positive. I didn't get to play against. This was real quick. As everyone was like finding their tables, I just snapped photos and tried to memorize what they had in their armies so I could tell you guys about it. I'm not going to be able to cover all the 16 or 18 armies, but I did get a few of them, so they're pretty sweet. I just love this next army because I have a fond place in my heart for knights. It's so cool looking. Okay, so first off, the one on the top right, it's the dual, it's got the Avenger Gatling Cannon. The large blue orb right next to its helmet is an actual LED light that he can turn on, and it's like a spotlight on the table. It's incredible. I really wish I would have got some footage of that. To his left, you can see he converted his Castellan Knight to have the organ missile launchers from like Sisters of Battle. Looks amazing. Even all the little knights have all kinds of conversions. You can see 2 Halverins in the front right that have some sort of like jetpack engines on their back and cockpits on their front. So cool. This army is a labor of love, you can tell, because every single base had its own special spot for a D20 to keep track of wounds. Such a cool army, and I'm always happy to see it and talk to its owner. He's a great guy. Here I just had some more shots of this beautiful yellow AdMech army. I mean, Belisarius looks incredible. The Tech Priest right next to him looks great. You can see the other side of a Plasma Bot Destroyer on the left. I mean, they just pop on the table. Even from 10 feet away, you can really see the contrast between the dark metallics and the yellow robes. It's a beautiful army, and I couldn't help but take lots of pictures of it. All right, one last shot of this army, just because I wanted to show it off. and I was very happy that it showed up so I could get pictures. Yeah, I mean, the picture speaks for itself. Let's get into round 1 and see how it went. Here I just want to shout out to Carl, the TO, and how well organized this went. As you can see on the right, it's a little hard to see from my picture, but it has a coordinated sticker for each type of terrain, and then those stickers are on each terrain piece on the table. So there's no arguments to be had. There's nothing left up to interpretation. Everything is marked perfectly. So that was great. And then on the left, he had this great dry erase laminated sheet for the scoring sheet, where you have your secondaries, you have your primaries up top. At the bottom, you add it all up with the painted bonus. It just worked great. And at the end of the tournament, yeah, let's keep that. So we'll be using that in our battle reports to keep track of everything easier and save paper. It was just really nice to walk in and see everything nice and organized and ready to go so that we could just start playing without having to discuss terrain pieces or anything. So well done, Carl. Okay, here we come to my first round game against the Necrons. We actually both took the same secondaries. We both took Assassinate, we both took Engage on all fronts, and we both took Deploy Scramblers. So it's kind of a mirrored match. It was Scorched Earth, so if you've ever played that one, you know, there's quite a bit of objectives. It's Dawn of War, old school deployment, where you're only 10 inches up. And it was a good, hard-fought match. My opponent was a little frustrated because, Smash Brothers, they're pretty hard to play against, to be honest. Mortarion's new rules are absurd. And basically, just so many rerolls, and then he keeps you from getting your auras. So, I feel for you, Rick. He's a real good guy, and we've been waiting to play each other for a while. And he brought this nice, balanced, beautiful blue Necron army that I showed you earlier in the video. And I brought this ridiculous tournament list that smashed. And I felt bad for him. But, we still had some fun. There were still some fun rolls, and we laughed about a few things. But let's get into some more of these pictures. So you can see here on the right flank, I had the Soul Grinder chilling on one backfield and the Pink Horrors on another one. The Pink Horrors went ahead and deployed Scramblers. He had moved 6 inches up the board with his pregame move that his whole army gets with just the Scarabs. And then they moved another 10 to create sort of a wall of Scarabs across the middle, or speed bump. And because of that, I was able to charge the Scarabs on the left in the center with the Great Unclean One and Magnus. And on the right center with the Keeper of Secrets. You can kind of see him up there on the right. And then I did Warp Time and got Mortarion all the way up the board into his 20-pack of warriors, which proved to be very difficult to chew through, even with Mortarion's 21 attacks. I think it took 3 rounds. Basically, I would kill like 15, and then because he gave them the 5-up invul from the Chronomancer, I'd kill like 15, and then he would roll like a bunch of 5s on the reanimation protocols, and he also rerolls 1s because they're warriors, and he had one of his cards said that he could reroll 1 reanimation protocol per unit. So I'd kill like 15, and then 7 would stand back up. Or and then the next round I'd kill 12 and 4 would stand back up. So it just took a while. It took like 3 whole turns to chew through. So warriors are no joke. Up on the right, you can see the Keeper of Secrets, the big purple monster, chilling on that objective. He's about to get charged by 10 Lich Guard with swords and shields, which also proved to be pretty tough. We'll get into that picture here in a second. Yeah, you can see here the Keeper of Secrets was up against it. It was 10 Lich Guard with sword and shield and 5 Wraiths. Now, I actually made this last like 3 whole turns before he could drag down the Keeper of Secrets. And the main way I was able to do that is there's a Slanesh stratagem that makes a unit within combat range -1 attack per model. So all those Lich Guard went from 3 attacks each down to 2 attacks each, and then they're only damage 1. So this big monster took quite a while to destroy. And I just thought this was a really cool picture. Here's another cool angle from it. I did end up coming to the Keeper's rescue with 8 Flamers that dropped in and roasted a couple Wraiths before he was able to get those charges in. But eventually he did drag down the keeper. He really sent a lot to that side of the board. He decided he was going to take that side, and the keeper was the right target to go after when the other option was Mortarion or Magnus. I did have a -1 to wound on the keeper, but it didn't matter in the end game. He got dragged down and butchered, but it still took most of the game for him to drag down the keeper, which really helped me solidify the rest of the board. So in this picture, you can see that up in the top left, Mortarion is still cutting through the warriors. And then after he finally butchered the 20-pack of warriors, Rick then sent 6 or 5 Skorpek destroyers with the blades into Mortarion. So that tied me up for a while there too, because he'd give them the 5-up invul. So, and then he was rolling pretty good on his reanimation protocol, so that still took like 2 turns to cut through them. Meanwhile, Magnus was just running rampant. I took Assassinate, so Magnus would jump, use Warp Time on himself to go 32 inches to the right, and I think he did 6 mortal wounds on a single character and killed it outright, and then charged another character and killed that one. So Magnus was being a pretty pesky hamper to the Necron players' game. It all worked out real well. We had a fun game. Rick was a real good guy, good sport, and yeah, final score was 93-63, I believe, with my Chaos taking the win. So for Noah's first game, he went against a player that on ITC was listed as World Eaters, but it also definitely had word bearers sprinkled in. So you had some word bearer Slanesh Las Cannon Havocs, as you can see right now in the middle of the board towards the bottom right. You can see those Las Cannons. He also had a ton of Berserkers, I believe, and he had the big possessed bomb. It's like a 20 possessed unit that, you know, I'm sure you may have read online about how powerful that can be. He was a great guy. We chatted and laughed about how when Berserkers go up to 2 wounds, they're going to be very, very dangerous. Like, it's going to be a wrap in terms of combat. Like, if you've ever seen what we've done on the channel with our 50 Berserkers, imagine them with 2 wounds. It's going to be so dangerous. But as far as the game goes, I didn't get to watch most of it because I was playing my own game. But when I talked to Noah about it, basically most of his plans worked. He combat squatted Terminators when he needed to. He took secondaries that really helped him out. Like, I believe he took Assassinate, and all the characters in the World Eaters wanted to fight, so they were kind of just funneled right into the Deathwing Knights, which, if you've played against the new Deathwing, it's very, very hard. Basically, if 4 characters charged the same unit, 1 swung and did his work, and then all the Deathwing got to swing and killed all the characters in 1 hit. So it's pretty disgusting, and it's hard to believe, but incredible. And I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. Noah scored 100 points round 1. 100. A perfect score. I've never done it. I've never seen anyone else do it. Never even heard of anyone else doing it. So we were all pretty excited about that. 100-point game. So well done, Noah. There he is right there, working his magic with his new amazing army. 100 points. Here's another action shot. I'm sure it was a fun game. The guy who controlled the World Eaters seemed like a real fun guy. It would have been fun to get an army battle against him, Chaos versus Chaos. But maybe we'll see him again in a future tournament. Well done, Noah. 100 points in round 1. Oh, real quick, I also want to point out he took Defiance and Oaths of Moment. So if you know how those work, you can see how this would work really well. Basically, he sits on an objective all game, the same backfield objective, and he gets 15 points. It's an amazing Dark Angels only secondary. And then Oaths of Moment, if he never retreats from combat, if he kills characters, and if he holds the middle, you can get like 15 from that pretty easily. So you can see how that played into how he got 100 points. Okay, so round 2 was against Nathan's Custodes, which on paper, we both kind of thought that Demons would have the upper hand on this. I really underestimated how powerful some of their stratagems are and how powerful their dreadnoughts are, those Telemon dreadnoughts. I want to start off with this picture just because how beautiful this model is. The white is so smooth but has depth and shadows to it. I don't know. I just think he did amazing. The dirt from the base is coming up onto the boots. Someday I'll be able to paint this well. I told him if he ever sells this army, he has to sell it to us. Beer&Batreps have dibs. So this list only had 4 objectives, or this game, sorry, only had 4 objectives. So you can see here, he's already taking the middle with his Dawn Eagle captain, and he's about to charge all my pink horrors who are peeking out from behind that black wall right in the middle of the board. I was there because I took the secondary where I need to cast a spell 3 turns in the very center. So he's desperately trying to stop that. The Great Unclean One then moved up behind him and kept doing that spell. So I was able to finish that secondary, which was nice, but it's a little tricky. He was just... If you roll your 4-ups as Custodes, you're going to win the game. So he rolled 4-ups with his Invuls. And then when he didn't, he rolled good on his Feel No Pains. I had never faced a Telemon. Maybe I did against Nathan back in 8th edition when I ran Harlequins. But I never really got to see how good it was because I just shot a ton of haywire at it and destroyed it. But now I had to fight it. I had to fight these Telemon. So in this picture you can see I wasn't able to slingshot Mortarion because he has a stratagem that for 1 CP, and if he rolls a 4-up, he just stops your spell. And he always rolled the 4-up. So he stopped warp time. So because Magnus is a little faster, he was actually close enough to charge these Telemon. So I went ahead and tried it. I didn't realize how powerful the Telemon were. I didn't realize I was going to fail all my 3-up Invuls and that he was going to pass his 4-ups. I either failed Death Hex or maybe that was the spell he stopped, and Mortarion charged 3 Terminators on that objective he's sitting on. You can also see in the top of the screen next to Mortarion is the Keeper of Secrets. So I'm throwing the big 3 right here. But man, if you roll your 4-ups with those Invuls, they don't fall. So he kept hitting me back with flat damage for Telemon Power Fists, and every time I failed a 3-up, it'd be 4 damage. So Magnus actually fell really quickly. Nathan rolled really hot. I rolled pretty poorly. We kind of talked about it after the game. I don't think either of us really made many mistakes. It really came down to a dice roll, a dice game, and he rolled hot and I rolled ugly. And so that pretty much was the difference, especially with elite, incredibly strong lists. So you can see here, Magnus doing his best. I did make one crucial mistake here in that I forgot that here in this picture, Mortarion should have been stopping their auras from Trojan Valaris giving those 2 Telemons rerolls. We talked about it after the game, and just using memory, we think Nathan rolled really hot and that the rerolls didn't actually come up that often. So yeah, as you'll see in the next picture, poof, Magnus is gone. He didn't hold up. So now it's Mortarion's turn. You can also see in the background that the Keeper of Secrets is dead. He basically shot his whole army at the Keeper, which was smart because he was the softest target. Even with the -1 to wound and T7, he just rolled so many 6s to wound. I mean, he just rolled so hot. I mean, if you guys have been to tournaments or even played with your friends where you got that buddy that pops out his own little dice tray to roll in, and he's just chucking dice in there and rolling nothing but 5s and 6s. It's what it felt like. And when you see your opponent roll their 18th and 19th, 5s and 6s in a row, you kind of know. You kind of know how that game's going to go. So now Mortarion was able to kill the closest Telemon in this picture, and that was one of his While We Stand We Fight. So I was able to keep him from scoring those 5 points. He only scored 10 from that instead of 15. He takes While We Stand We Fight because he also, one of his units is 5-man Alaris, and he does the stratagem where they split into 5 individual units of Alaris Terminators. So you have to kill all of those to get While We Stand We Fight, or to keep him from getting it. So great decision there. Killing that Telemon, though, is going to provide a big factor into the entire tournament, and we'll talk about that later. But here we go. We got Mortarion still putting up a good fight. He doesn't end up killing this one. What ends up happening is his whole army then kind of swarmed Mortarion, and an Alaris was able to drag him down finally. And at that point, he was in my backfield with other Alaris Terminators. He was in my backfield with the Jetpack Custodes unit that shoots like, I don't know, what is it, 30 strength 6 shots with exploding 6s. So a solid victory for Custodes. He beat me, I believe it was 95 to 57. So a hard loss that round after my solid victory in round 1. So we'll just sit here and talk about Noah's round 2 as well, because I unfortunately didn't get any pictures. I was too busy fighting for my life against these Custodes. Noah had to face another player who brought the Smash Brothers with a demon list. Now his demon list was very similar to mine. It's just that instead of a Keeper of Secrets, he had the Lord of Change. Instead of a bunch of Tzeentch units grabbing objectives, he had a bunch of Nurglings and 30 packs of Plague Bearers. So a very, very strong list that also had the Smash Brothers. And I mean, I've been saying it for a bit. I think that the counter to Deathwing Terminators is demons. You have tons of mortal wounds. You have monsters that aren't scared to fight the Terminators. You have Death Hex. You have lots of cheap units that can deep strike all over the board and get you all the secondaries you need. You got Chaff. You have other strong units you can bring, but really you just want to spin it all on these big monsters with tons of units for objectives behind them. And, Noah fought for his life, but he lost that one, I think, 98 to 57. So we both scored 57 points in round 2. And I scored 92 in round 1, or 93, and he scored 100 in round 1. So I'm sure you can guess where this is going for round 3, since we both scored 57 points. So as you could guess, the Beer&Batreps bros had to play each other in round 3. Even though we play against each other like twice a week for the last 5 years. And we drove an hour to go to this tournament, and there were like 18 players. We still had to play each other. What are the odds? But here we go. Poor Noah had to play against the Smash Brothers again, 2 games in a row. So for someone who had the strongest, newest hotness, he's got the newest army that's so strong that everyone's complaining about it. He's got the Deathwing Terminators. He had to play his hard counter 2 games in a row. So it was just bad luck on Noah's part. And Nathan, the player with the Custodes, after beating me, then went to the top table to play against the other number 1 player, which was another Smash Brothers list. So he also had to play Smash Brothers 2 games in a row. So he felt Noah's pain. So in this battle, this is the one where there are 5 objectives, 1 in the dead center, and then we each get to take turns moving each of the 4 objectives around the middle one 6 inches in different directions. And then there's a secondary where you can sit on an objective. You can declare it your main one, and as long as you hold that all game, you get 15 points. Noah then took Defiance. So up in that top corner, way up in the top corner where there's a green orb or green crystal, you can see that his Terminators are sitting on that one. And then way down in the bottom left, you can see that my Soul Grinder is sitting on that one. Those are our like home bases, and if we hold those, we get 15 points. So we both took that one. That was a no-brainer. Neither one of us was going to let the other one get to those ever. And if we did get to them, we both had strong units on it to defend it. My Soul Grinder and his 5-pack of Thunder Hammer Storm Shield Terminators. So those were easy 15 points for both of us. He also took Defiance on the same objective. So for sitting there for 5 turns with a 200-point unit, he scored 30 victory points. We both cracked up laughing about how easy that was. It's the easiest 30 points anyone's ever going to score. That unit sat there all game, didn't do anything, and scored 30 points. He had his model spaced out just right to where I couldn't deep strike back there. I never really got a chance to get back there because he had, as you can see, a giant wall of Terminators in the way. That being said, I managed to bottleneck him between that black wall and the Necron pillar that's fallen down. I managed to bottleneck his Terminators right there, and that's where I hit with Mortarion. You can see in this picture, sorry, it's a little far away, but you can see Mortarion was able to hit just right at that spot to where his Terminators just couldn't get as many into base contact with him. Also, this is way further into the game. Sorry for the big time jump, but as you can see, the Keeper of Secrets and Magnus are now dead, but so are all the rest of his Terminators. So it has been a bloodbath. Death Hex, we got tons of mortal wounds. I mean, it was a strong win for the demons. You can see on the middle right, just peeking out from behind that wall is a Great Unclean One. He held the middle there. He did a good job. Yeah, so in terms of our lists, I mean, this one just favored me. Noah is going to go back to the drawing board and fit some more anti-psychic, some more psychic defense into his list, because now he knows he's going to face chaos armies at tournaments that have tons of mortal wound output. So once he has some more psychic defense, his army is going to be very, very dangerous. He's also considering sprinkling in some Ravenwing to help with ranged firepower and speedy movement around the board. I think that's a good idea. I think half and half, maybe 1,000 of Deathwing, 1,000 of Ravenwing is probably the strongest army, but it's really hard to not spend more points on those Terminators. They're just so good. They're just so good. He just got unlucky and played the Smash Brothers 2 games in a row. Because if you remember his first game, he scored 100 points. So obviously, his army's very strong. He started off perfect with a perfect game, 100 points. But then 2 Smash Brothers matchups in a row, and it went downhill from there. So he just got unlucky with his matchups. I mean, when we look at the rest of the armies there, most of them are going to struggle against his Terminators. So he just got very unlucky that he played 2 disgusting Smash Brother lists in a row. As far as my list, I mean, I scored 95 this game and 92 the first game, and then 57 the middle game. I just need to fix some mistakes I was making. I got to get more used to Mortarion and his 2 pages of rules so that I don't forget important rules. I mean, even if I had rolled a little better in that middle game, I think Nathan was still going to win that. Custodies are just really good. They're slept on. They have some of the best stratagems, and Nathan's just a really good general. I've seen him win plenty of tournaments in the last few years. So, I didn't mind getting beat by him. He's a good guy. I would have liked to maybe try Smash Brothers versus Smash Brothers. The other guy that controlled that army, Daniel, he ended up winning the whole tournament. He beat Nathan in round 3 at the top table. So basically, number 1 at the tournament was Demons with Smash Brothers. And then second place was a White Scars player that I didn't get any pictures of his army, unfortunately. And then third place was me. I placed third, which was pretty awesome. I got a cool plaque and, some store credit that, I picked up something for the channel. So I'm real excited about that. I had a great time at the tournament. Nathan then finished 4th and Noah finished 5th. So all these real strong armies that I have pictures of did real well. We all had a good time. And then we all were able to sit after the tournament and just discuss tweaks we'll make to our lists. As far as mine, I'm going to drop the Soul Grinder and the 8 Flamers. And with those points, make sure I take 6 full units of objective secured troops. Because when I have Smash Brothers and a Keeper of Secrets, and maybe even a Great Unclean One, you take those 4 and 6 full units of objective secured troops, and you're going to be nice and well-rounded. So I'd probably replace the Soul Grinder with maybe 20 Plague Bearers, replace the Flamers with some units of Nurglings, and just have, just more cheap units to make sure I get all those secondaries nice and easy. Because at the end of the day, your opponent is going to be busy dealing with the Smash Brothers and the Keeper of Secrets. I like the Great Unclean One. I like that he holds the middle. My only issue with him is that he never even got targeted like the entire tournament. My opponents just had so many other target priorities that the Great Unclean One just kind of stomped around getting objectives and healing Mortarion at will. And since I spent a CP to make him exalted and give him a 4-up feel no pain, the fact that no one even targeted him, It makes me want to swap him with Rodigus, to be honest. Now, if you don't know Rodigus, he's the same points as a Great Unclean One. He's the same statistics as a Great Unclean One. The main difference with him is that I can't make him Exalted, so he won't be quite as defensive because he can't take the 4-up Feel No Pain. But he is much better at casting. He's like the wizard Great Unclean One. He's the named one. And what's cool about him is he can cast 2, deny 2, and then he knows 3 spells from their discipline. And then what's nice about him is every time you cast a spell with a 7 or higher, he does a single extra mortal wound to the closest enemy unit anywhere on the board. It's just the closest unit. So if I'm going to have a Great Unclean One hold the center of the board, and people aren't going to target him anyway because they're too busy dealing with the Keeper of Secrets and Smash Brothers, then I might as well have him be even better at spells and just dishing out even more mortal wounds. Now, I know that same exact, battle plan can be done with a Lord of Change who dishes out even more mortal wounds. So that is an option. I do have a Painted Lord of Change. I have a couple. We could easily bring the bird. I just like Nurgle, and I like that the Great Unclean One can do the one spell the bird can't, which is heal Mortarion. And I think healing Mortarion is so important. Throughout the 3 games, I think I healed him about 15 wounds, which is basically like a whole nother Mortarion. So, very important. I'll be keeping at least one Nurgle caster, whether that's a Herald or a Great Unclean One or a Demon Prince. Either way, healing Mortarion is so important. I think when Noah gets his Psychic Defense, and he's talking about getting, Ezekiel? I can't remember the name of their named Psyker, but their spells are gross. The Dark Angel spells, he can turn off people's Obsec, he can turn off their auras just like Mortarion does. So I think his list is going to be a lot stronger if he can fit that Psyker in there and some more Psychic Defense. And honestly, with a list that strong, I really think the only reason Noah didn't win the whole tournament is he got unlucky with who he had to face. His one counter that's really good against Terminators is Demons. So he just got kind of unlucky. This is Nick from Beer&Batreps. We had a great time at the tournament. I hope you guys like this just quick recap, about 40 minutes, going through pictures and talking about how things went at the tournament. If you're listening still, shout out to all the people I played against. You guys were all classy and fun to play against, fun to chat with. The guys that we went and got beers with at lunch, a lot of fun. And Carl, good job, man. Good TO. That place was efficient, and everyone, wore their masks, and the terrain loadout was good. I know people complained about the big L's in the middle of the table. You work with what you got. Eventually, maybe we could find some terrain pieces that look like an L that aren't just big L's. So like a castle tower with a wall sticking out so that it still kind of looks like an L. That being said, no complaints here. Great tournament, a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have more. I know the pandemic has kind of shut these things down, but hopefully we get some more of these. And we'll see if you guys like this recap. Let me know down below. If you have any other questions about the tournament, or if you've been going to tournaments yourself, please tell us. One other announcement. Our Facebook page. We have the Beer&Batreps Facebook page. There's a link to it. If you go to our YouTube channel and you go over to our About link, it's next to Community. It's the About tab. It has a link to our Facebook channel. If you go there, that's where we're going to start putting the lists for all of our battle reports. So a lot of people in our battle reports have been asking to see the army lists. We're going to post them there. That way you can ask questions about it. We can chat about it. You can tell us if you think we should change anything in our lists. And you can even post your lists and we can compare and contrast. So if you want, we can post lists from this tournament. If you want our exact list breakdown, we'll put that on Facebook if you guys request it. So please join our Facebook page. We have, 50 people on there so far. So come on down, show us what you're painting, what you're working on. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, this is Nick from Beer&Batreps. I'm sure we'll be back very soon with a battle report. Cheers.